Thanks for listening to the AZ Wildcats podcast. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, Arizona wins 22-10. Less than impressive performance, though. What say you, Saul Bookman?
I mean, it depends on what side of the ball you're talking about, right? I mean, they just didn't look good at all offensively. They couldn't find a rhythm. Noah Fifita continued to struggle, couldn't figure out which side the blitz was coming, and when he did, he didn't make the right reads. So offensively, yeah, not great. Defensively, they improved from a week ago, which is what you wanted to see. They held them to under 200 yards. They shut them down in the second half. I'm okay with the defense. The defense improved. It wasn't perfect, but a win is a win, and now it gets real serious.
Yeah. Anthony?
Yeah, absolutely. This is what it looks like when you're missing 2 or 3 starters on the offensive line. This is probably what Colorado fans feel like, where their quarterback's under pressure all the time and doesn't have time to make the right reads, doesn't have time to hit the throws he wants to throw. We were talking about T-Mac so much after the first game, and
Right.
so I thought the stupidest thing I've ever heard was why, Arizona needs to spread the ball more. I'm sorry, your All-American has single coverage all the time. You're throwing him the ball. NAU did not single coverage T-Mac. And I agree with the announcers. T-Mac wasn't right tonight. I don't know exactly what it was. I don't know if he was just not feeling well. I don't know if he tweaked something. Even from that second target of the game, I think it was into the end zone. He kind of came up and shook his head like he wasn't feeling right. So I think there's a lot to learn there. There's a lot to learn about some of the guys who were held out tonight. I'm sure we'll get to that, but a mixed bag. But it was that kind of day in college football too. That was a weird day of college football.
Saul?
I mean, T-Mac was, the second play, yes, I agree with you, Anthony. I immediately noticed, did he just wince? I don't know if it's the foot again. I really hope it isn't. But that last one on it's kind of like, maybe, for lack of a better word, a Hail Mary, the right side of the end zone, where he came down and he took a minute to get up. And when he took a minute to get up, he looked down at that leg. And that's what, to me, I thought it was his leg. And so I'm hoping that it's not a foot issue. This is based on nothing that I've heard. I have zero idea if he's really injured or not. He just did not look like T-Mac of last week.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing. He didn't quite look like it. Ja'Cory Crosskey-Merritt was out. Anthony, you and I were messaging a little bit about that. Quali Conley's really good, but they definitely lacked a little bit without Ja'Cory Crosskey-Merritt in there.
Yeah, I mean, I think Conley's pretty good. I don't know if he's – I mean, I'd rather have Jonah Coleman. I'd rather have Crosskey-Merritt. But Conley's pretty good. And when I went to the game last week, I was talking to somebody, and they made the comment about, oh, these guys, these running backs Arizona has, they're just Mountain West backs. It's like, okay, he came from San Jose State, but we don't need to degrade somebody because they transferred in from a Mountain West school. Those guys can be pretty good. He's a legit major conference running back. Is he a workhorse? He hasn't proven that. I mean, he never carried more than 20 times in a game at San Jose State. So how much
do you factor in, though, that this is a guy that did rush for over 2,000 yards the last 2 seasons, though?
Oh, I mean, that's why I say he's a legit back. I don't know if he's that guy who's going to get 25 plus carries. You're going to have to teach me a little bit, because the announcers were all over the map. Is it Riscino? How do you say that kid's name?
They were saying it without the C.
Riscino.
Yeah.
All right. Nice run at the end of the game. Nice blocking on that play. If Crosskey-Merritt is out for any length of time or whatever, he's the next guy up. Sorry, Speedy Luke. He's the next guy up.
Right. Saul?
I kind of disagree with you in terms of, Jonah Coleman is clearly better. The times that he was getting stopped in the backfield, nobody blocked. Even Jonah Coleman couldn't get it out of that. You know what I mean? So I thought he did just fine. I thought he had burst. I thought he had wiggle. I thought he lowered the boom when he needed to. I thought he was plenty quick enough. He caught the ball out of the backfield. I thought he did everything you asked him to. And I don't think it would have been a drastically different measure if Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt was in there. I think it was more of, listen, they were playing kind of a vanilla offense. They didn't give any wrinkles whatsoever. They almost paid the price for it, but they got through the game. And now I guarantee you next week, and this is the thing about college sports that I think some people, they just look, they see the opponent, they're like, oh, they should have blown them out by 60. Should they have handled NAU with ease? 1,000,000%. But like, all because you see a crap game today doesn't mean that when they go to K-State, you're going to see a crap game there, because players change from week to week. We saw today, for crying out loud, how many Notre Dame goes down against Northern Illinois. Like, hello, like any given week, it could happen to you. You just got to make sure that you can weather the storm and get through it. And then when you play the big dogs, which Notre Dame a week ago just beat Texas A&M again, like you thought that they were going to be able to come in and do the same thing, and they didn't. The opposite can be true. You can have some stinkers, but as long as you get through it, you might be able to figure it out by the time you get to Kansas. I fully believe that they're going to be much better this week.
100%, Saul. Thank you for saying that. Every game is different. We all want to sound smart, like we know we saw something, and we're going to predict what's happening next. Every game is a season. The matchups are different. The players are different. The vibes are different. Everything is different. I mean, I've seen teams that, I mean, if I'm old enough to go all the way back to 92, right? You know, they tied a 1-win Oregon State team on the road. 1 week later, they're about a foot away from beating #1 Miami in Miami. Stuff happens.
Steve
man.
McLaughlin, Brandon Sanders.
Yeah. It's crazy. I totally agree with that sentiment, because that is what I was talking about, like today in college football. We saw results that you would not have predicted based off last week's games. And if you make the mistake of thinking you're smart enough to know what's going to happen in week 3, then because of that, I'm sure you're going to be wrong.
Anthony, what do you, if Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt is done, does that merit concern from you?
I'm going to be happy that it's the last. Well, it won't be the last time you use that pun. No. We know it won't be the last time. We hope it is. No, I like the running back room is great, and I'm not like totally down on Conley. Like I said, he's a legit D1. You can win with that guy as your lead starting running back. It certainly takes away a little bit of margin of error, takes away your depth. We need to see more. You know, we keep thinking Speedy Luke's going to be the next guy up.
Right.
He's had. It seems like he's had that chance,
right.
And just the way the second half played out, maybe not. But again, the team you are in week 2 isn't the team you're going to be in week 3 or 4. But I know your group talked a lot about the running back room in the preseason leading up to the season opener. It's a good group. They can withstand losing a guy. It just it takes away a little bit just in terms of depth.
Saul?
I think they'll be fine. That's the least of my concerns, to be honest with you, because, I'm a little concerned about Noah. I'll say that. I'm a little concerned about Noah, and it's not because of technique or anything that it's more of just reading the defense. And I think he's struggled. I mean, it's easy when you see one-on-one outside with T-Mac. You're like, okay, well, that's where I'm going to throw the ball, right? But he wasn't able to spread the ball very much last week. This week, he was getting blitzed every single third down, and it never felt like he made the right read. And they even pointed it out on the broadcast. Listen, when they come from one specific side, when that hot comes, that's the side you got to go to. And it was like he was a little confused, or maybe they didn't make the right hot read. It just, we got to be better about this. And Kansas State's not going to be they're going to throw some wrinkles too. Like, I know, we didn't play, some exotic offense or defense, but it's not like K-State was just threw everything out there either. They're going to have some wrinkles for us. And they barely got by Tulane today. So I think the running backs are fine. I think the wide receivers are fine. I think everybody on the offense is fine when they all show up and Noah can get them the ball. I'm a little concerned. I need to see a little bit of a crisper performance by Noah Fifita. Last week, I know he had well over 400 yards passing, but 304 were to T-Mac. And I need a better performance. And also you need to know when to throw the ball away. And he started to learn that towards the end of the game. There was a couple of times we rolled out. He was just like, okay, I'm just going to throw the ball away. Instead of taking these huge sacks for no reason.
Right. All right, now it's time for the Sanderson Ford drive of the game. Sanderson Ford is back, and so are the deals at Arizona's largest Ford dealership. Anthony Gimino and a Sanderson Ford would look amazing, by the way. Sanderson Ford, shop America's most awarded Ford dealership with no hassle, no pressure, and no nonsense. Okay, Anthony Gimino, give me your drive to the game, my friend.
Does he know what it is?
Wow. How about
that's why I asked you guys.
Well, let's go back to the first drive of the second half. Arizona gets the 4th down stop. And NAU got a little greedy, right? They're 4th and 1 at their 34. They've got the lead. They're going for it. I get it. I didn't hate it. But, Arizona stops quarterback sneak, comes back and was able to score on the pass to Patterson, right? Right after that.
Right.
So let's make that the drive of the game, the stop and score right there.
I like the safety. I thought the safety.
I like the safety too.
I mean, like I know people think it's easy to stop somebody on when they got to run it, but that first play they tried to pass it and it didn't work out, and then they just manned up and just beat them into oblivion in the backfield and got the safety. And I thought that was really. That kind of was like, that was a confidence builder for the defense to say, like, yeah, if we step up, we could do this. And getting that 2 points and then the ensuing score after that, I thought that was basically what put the game away. And the defense, listen, we were hard on them last week, or you guys were hard on them. I was on the show last week. You guys were hard on them because deservedly so. You give up 39 points and look like you're lost all over the place. You should absolutely get pointed out. But tonight, I thought they were more fundamentally sound. They were sound in their tackling. They were in better positions. They were better at concealing the edge. And the game tackling, I'll give them credit for that. I think they improved quite a bit from last week.
Anthony, Irish Mike says, yeah, the whole not showing your cards is BS. You need to start building confidence and run your stuff. What say you?
You're playing to win the game, right?
Right.
Nobody, I think, at this stage has all of their offense. They haven't run all of their playbook. It's going to be designed for a certain strategy for a certain game. They probably went in, wanting to be fairly vanilla. And I think early on they certainly were, which probably got them behind a little bit. But every game is going to be different. Every game is going to be different. Every game plan is going to be different. Again, we're trying to predict something that's going to happen in week 3 off of week 2. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. CJ McMullen said next week is going to be very hard. Listen, I watched Kansas State today. I watched the entire game. There was nothing about Kansas State that I looked at and I was just like, oh man, Arizona's really going to have their hands full with this. I just don't believe that. And
all the Big 12 teams are like that.
Yeah, no,
There's
exactly.
not a team outside of maybe Utah where you're like,
Well,
and even Utah, Cam Rising goes down, they're toast.
Right.
Like they didn't even score in the second half against Baylor, which I appreciate because it helped me win my parlay. Thank you, Utah.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're looking to help out Saul Bookman.
There you go. Yeah, but again, like Kansas State struggled in week 1 too, as well, I should say. And their offense was kind of puttering around. Today, same thing. They had to get a scoop and score to take the lead on defense. Like it's not exactly like everybody's just world beaters. And if we want to be real right now, there's only one team in the Big 12 that's been pretty impressive in the first 2 weeks, and I don't even want to say their name.
Don't say it.
I don't want to say it because I think they're still playing.
Yeah.
But I was there for the first half of the game. They looked pretty damn solid.
Yeah.
And they've been the most impressive because they beat 2 pretty good teams, or at least on paper. Good
I think most of what we saw in the Big 12 today is what I expect every single week once the Big 12 conference really begins. It is going to be a series of tight, one possession, down to the wire games. And we saw that with Kansas State. We saw that with Oklahoma State. We saw that with Iowa State. We saw that with Kansas losing to Illinois. no thank you to the Jayhawks, who cost me a 16 parlay today.
Oh, wow. Anthony Gimino throwing down the gauntlet. Not happy about it.
Not happy with the Jayhawks, but that is, I think this week was a microcosm of what we're going to get for 9 weeks, 10 weeks if you throw in buys or whatever in the Big 12, because none of the teams are great. They're all good. And if you're good but not great, what does that mean? That means you're not consistent week to week.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're going to get all kind of these crazy results. It doesn't matter if you're playing the second best team in the league or the 14th best team in the league. It could be one of those games like we saw today that just go down to the wire.
Yes. Bill Morgan. I like Bill Morgan. He says unnecessary panic in Wildcat Nation led by Mr. Luke. And I don't mean Caden. First of all, spell Caden's name right if you're going to quote Caden, or if you're going to quote Caden. But no, they haven't looked good. I don't know.
Right.
I'm not saying it's the end of the world. You'll
I'm
find
just
out. But they haven't looked good.
I'm hoping that's the Bill Morgan.
That is the Bill Morgan. I'm almost positive that's the Bill
wow.
Morgan. Yes,
exactly. Saul doesn't know. Bill Morgan was
we have big names in this chat. Bill Morgan
was a coach, a recruiting coordinator in the early 90s. And for a long time, Arizona's compliance director.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
I don't think Mike's panicking. I think he's just calling it what it is. It's been two.
It's okay.
It's been 2 uneven performances on both sides of the ball through 2 weeks. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm. That's really
so
what
you can either. So you can either feel, hey, listen, this is definitely the definition of a glass half full, glass half empty situation. You can either look and say, well, they played really good on offense 1 week and bad the next, and say, okay, well, everything's bad. Or you can look and say, okay, well, they've proven they can be good. It will be fine. And same thing for the defense. So we won't find out until next week. Once we see next week, then we can start to celebrate, because I firmly believe, as long as Noah is solid, I firmly believe not only will we beat K-State, we will beat K-State by double digits.
All right, now it is time for the Branded Bills tip of the cap segment. We all have caps on right now. Mm-hmm. And now, again, elevate your brand with Branded Bills, the perfect headwear and apparel. Use code PHNX for 20% off your first order. Tip of the cap Wildcats. All right, who do you want to tip your cap to, Saul Bookman? I see that. I like that cap.
I want to tip my cap to there's the Branded Bills logo. To the defense. They got run amok last week. And I think that they figured it out very, very well this week, and were able to kind of shore up some things. It wasn't perfect, and you can envision if they played better competition today, would it have been a different story? Probably, but we could say that anytime. I think that they shored up some things, and I really like the pressure that they were getting on the quarterback, especially up front. The front four, you even saw in that last series, how they were able to manufacture pressure with just the 4 and dropping back 7, which is what you want to see. I think the DBs played much better pass defense than they had last week for sure. So overall, I'm happy. The only little thing that I want to say is, when somebody gets the free shot, you got to take them down. There was a couple too many times where, like, Jacob Manu had the guy in the backfield, and somehow, some way, he still gains 5 yards. And I'm like, what are we doing here? You got to wrap up. So that's it. Small thing.
Anthony?
Yeah, I see someone in the chat said hat tip to Dwayne Aquina. I just want to say, I hope if somebody offered me the chance, like, hey, when you're 69, you've got the energy of Dwayne Aquina. Right. I'm signing up for that right now. Give me that. I want that. Let's do a hat tip to the tight end room.
Okay. Oh, I like it. I like it.
Keon Burnett. Combined for 5 catches, 50, 60 some yards. If we're looking for those other receivers, pass catchers to catch up other than T-Mac, one's going to be Jeremiah Patterson. I think that's pretty clear now. But that tight end room, that's going to be, if we're looking for Noah to make the better decisions that Saul wants him to make, I think those tight ends are going to begin to offer him those kind of options, which they did tonight.
Yes, exactly. I think you're going to see Keon Burnett break out at some point in the next couple games. I really think it, by breakout, I mean like 4 catches, 85 yards. You can see that one's coming, and maybe it's going to come against Kansas State or Utah, Saul Bookman.
He almost broke out of his back on that flip.
Ooh. Yeah. That was wild.
I'm not, you know what he did, right? He landed, and at first he was like, "Oh," and then he rolled over to act like, "No, I'm good." But you just know that thing is just going to be, it's going to be a little sore tomorrow morning.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be sore. Anthony, you've seen a lot of good tight ends coming through here from your, heck, in the late 90s, from your Mike Lucky's and Brandon Manamulienas to your Rob Gronkowski's. I think at some point, again, you're not going to put him in Gronk's caliber, but I think you're going to see Kean Burnett become one of those dudes.
Okay. I mean, you're making a big leap from a guy who has like 3 career catches or 4 career catches to NFL Hall of Famer. But okay,
no, I didn't say him. I said the other ones. There.
What's that?
I said the other ones. That's why I threw that one in there.
All right. Yeah, you're like you said, you're Mike Lucky. There's been a lot.
He'll be better than AJ Simmons. How about that?
Deal. Sold. You win. Yes.
It's going to be interesting to see how that one does play out. Now let's talk about the running game here a little bit. Again, I like the running game. I think it'll be just fine. I do think that I think Arizona made the right decision. Matthew Lotto, I do not think was quite ready, and the coaching staff clearly believed that. You put Ryan Stewart in there, and I think that was basically a look ahead to the Kansas State game, saying that it's just way too hard to put a freshman in from Apollo High School. Saul, I think you're going to see Ryan Stewart at one of those tackle positions.
Yeah, the offensive line obviously is probably going to look different next week too. Like the feel of it was just discombobulated. Jason Shear made a great point. It's like you can't throw this thing together in the 11th hour and expect it to look just crisp. Like you could tell that these guys had no chemistry whatsoever. It was just kind of rough, and they figured it out. They got the ball going a little bit, but I do think that there was some. Again, the formational calls on some of these run plays, I felt like made it too easy for the weak side defense to come across the line and tackle guys in the backfield before they started getting going. If there was even the slightest bit of resistance on the strong side, and that was the thing that I do think that that's going to be a wrinkle that we will see next week. We will see more guards or tackles pulling to prevent that kind of stuff and misdirection. I think you're going to see more counters. I don't think you're going to see as many delayed handoffs as we've seen in the first 2 weeks. I think those will be gone because you can't sit there for 7 seconds waiting to hand off the ball. Like that's not going to happen against Kansas State or Utah. Like it'll be a tackle for loss every single time. And so I think that'll adjust a little bit because of the speed that these teams are going to have. So, but I was happy with the run game tonight.
Anthony?
Yeah, I'm with you there. So those slow developing handoffs,
yes,
just did not go anywhere.
Get rid of them. Yes,
get rid of them. We saw a wildly different starting lineup from game 1 to game 2. Again, get some guys back. That lineup may again change quite a bit to game 3. And to me, that having continuity on the offensive line is about number 1 on the things I'd love to see in the season that leads to having a great season. If you go back and look at Arizona's best teams from the 90s, whether that's the 92, 93 era, the 98 team, you go back and look at their 5 starters game by game by game, they almost never change. It's like that same 5 guys in the same 5 spots started damn near every game. And then you look at the seasons when Arizona's been disappointing, and you start going down that list, and there's names all over the place. There's no continuity. So if that gets solved, if guys get healthy and they can solidify that and have that same lineup out there every time, by the time the Big 12 season really gets rolling, Arizona's going to be in much better shape.
I do want to say one thing, Mike. The thing with the delayed handoffs that is bothersome is that the delayed handoff versus the play action play call doesn't look the same. So you could totally read it if you're the defense. The delayed handoff, Noah takes it and he kind of sits there and then he hands the ball off. Whereas in the play action, he immediately goes to the fake and then he drops back. And it's like, okay, well, I can tell the difference between the two because you've never done a quick handoff straight out. And so those things are going to need to be tweaked. Again, I don't know if it's purposeful, and I will be like, holy crap, these guys are geniuses if it is, because the smallest thing can make a difference at this level. But man, those slow rolling out handoffs are they need
and
to
Jet
go.
did the same thing, and they never work. They're always like a 4-yard loss in the backfield. Never feels good. People asking about Shakori Krosky-Merritt. I'm not optimistic, but we will find out about how that one does play out. That's all I will say. Okay.
But it is an eligibility issue for those of you that don't know, right?
Correct. Now it is time for the Back the A player of the game, presented by Neutral. Back the A plus performance of the game. This segment is powered by Neutral. Keep it tasty, Tucson. Enjoy responsibly. Saul, who is your Back the A player of the game?
It is Quali Conley, 17 carries, 112 yards, 6.6 average. I thought he ran the ball very effectively. He was strong. He had some burst. Obviously, he had that long run to start the game. But after that, I just thought he was solid at 5 to 8 yards every single time he touched the ball, except when he would get tackled for loss behind the line of scrimmage when the weak side would kind of get him from behind. So, but I thought he was solid. I thought he was a solid back tonight.
Anthony, this is a guy that you could clearly tell has rushed for 2 years removed from rushing for 1,200 yards at San Jose State, about 6.5 yards a pop. He's a good player.
Absolutely, he is. Even going back to his Utah Tech days.
That was a good one. I didn't know you had that one in you. That's good. That's very good. Yeah. Quali Conley's fantastic, though. Arizona, if that's your backup running back, you're in a very, very good spot. Okay. Now that's the Back the A plus performance brought to you by Neutral. All right, now let's talk about Dino Babers. Anthony, you've known Dino Babers a long time. My sister went to school with Dino Babers' daughters. That's how far back I go. Solington Elementary. But what say you so far with Dino Babers?
Incomplete.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't sit here and tout like, oh my God, he's been a genius. I just think it's incomplete. Way back in the day when he first started calling plays at Arizona in '98, he always talked a lot about the chess match. He loves chess, and calling plays is like the ultimate chess match with the opposing defensive coordinator. Yeah. So, we can't fast forward to the end of the game, end of the match. We don't know how that's going to play out yet. So what is he establishing now? What is he setting up for the future? Not sure. But if people are frustrated because they, after a 22-point performance, less than 400 yards, sure, I get it. But, you
don't know yet.
You don't know yet. It's 2 games against 2 opponents that you're not necessarily just going to start throwing everything out there.
I feel like, Mike, we forgot last year in the first 3 games of the season. Does anybody remember Stanford? Remember how ugly the offense was against Stanford until Noah got in the game? Like, that was terrible.
Right.
And so, you can sit there and say all day long, oh, well, Fish, whatever, blah, blah. It's because you only remember the last 7 games of Fish and how great they made you feel. But you forgot the little bits before that and even the season before that where, there were some ugly games offensively. It wasn't the prettiest thing ever. So, just chill. It's going to be okay. I hope it's going to be okay. Yeah. I am not going to be making, assurances that this offense is just going to be some well-oiled machine next week. I do believe they're going to win by double digits next week, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the offense is going to be, world beaters. But I'm still going to wait to make my judgment on what Dino Babers brings to the table. I'm not a fan of the formations myself. I feel like there's a lot of talent on that team, especially from the skill positions, and I would like to see them get utilized a little bit more. But you can't do that when Noah's running for his life in the backfield like he was a large portion of the time tonight. So he'll get a pass on that.
Exactly. Yeah. No, our good friend Kevin Thomas just mentioned to me. He said, "Yeah, we have the Desert Financial Credit Union by the numbers. Very excited to see what Kevin Thomas has right here. Kevin Thomas, let's hear about this. All right, now this is presented to you by Desert Financial Credit Union, Arizona's #1 credit union, named by Forbes. Anthony Gimino, a very smart man. I would assume he has Desert Financial Credit Union. If he doesn't, I'd be very disappointed. But yes, here's what we have right now. Total yards. I mean, you look at it, Arizona almost doubled them up. ASU. NAU was able to rush for 200 yards.
No, they weren't. No, they weren't. That's wrong. You got to flip those around.
Yeah, I was a little confused by that one as well.
I was like, wait, how did Conley rush for over 100 yards, but we only got 89 yards credit?
We blame Mr. Kevin Thomas.
Kevin, boo, Kevin.
Yeah, but either way, we very much like Kevin Thomas. Either way, this game was too close. But at the same time, I don't really care. Nobody's going to look back at this game and be like, oh, well, you know, if Arizona goes 10-2, they were playing close against NAU. Nobody will care. Nobody will care, Anthony.
We will not long remember this game for anything.
Period. Point blank.
It just got us to week 3, dudes. That's all.
That's all we wanted. Yeah. That's all we wanted.
It's 2-0. Imagine that. We're sitting here. Arizona's got a 9-game winning streak, longest in the country. And we're like bitching and moaning.
Right.
Well, there's
you have heat on us.
There's a couple reasons. There's a couple reasons why. Can I interrupt right now for a second?
Go on.
So Jason Shear is pointing some things out in the middle of the presser right now, which shout out to Jason. Said that obviously Brett Brennan was not satisfied with the offensive line's performance tonight. A few guys sat out because they were banged up. For those of you who don't know, that's the reason. Quali Conley said he feels Arizona's offense did not play hard enough tonight, especially on third down. Yo, I don't want to have to go into this locker room on Friday, Mike. But if they come out in that first half, I'm going down to the field as they come out and I'm screaming at every single dude because that can't happen. You got to come with it every single night. I don't care if it's NAU. You just had a tough time with New Mexico the week before. There's no excuses. You got to come out and you got ball. So hopefully that's their lesson learned.
Yeah, I mean that's really what it is. You've had two warm up games at this point, Anthony. Now it gets real. Now again, Kansas State hasn't looked great this season, so it's not like Arizona should be overwhelmed by that. But now it's about to get serious.
Yeah, and those third downs, I mean those are killers. 0 for 10 on third down, and a lot of those were. I started to track them during the game. I didn't catch the last couple of them, but they weren't 3rd and 2s. They were 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 15. So they weren't giving themselves a chance to convert those. And that's the passing game not being efficient. That's maybe not being picking up some good chunks on first down, but they were always in 3rd and long tonight.
Right. And that's what you got to look. Yeah. Every time you're in 3rd and long, Saul, I see you shaking your head. What's going on?
No, I totally agree. Like situationally, there was a lot of things that were working against U of A because of their own demise. The penalties again reared their ugly head. I hope they run gassers all day tomorrow to stop with the foolishness. Like there was just these are things that get worked out in the first 2 weeks of the season. And guess what? It might even be a little ugly in game number 3. It might be a little, because this is the first time that these two teams are playing a Power 5 school, and they both have a lot of talent. So I'm not overreacting. I'm disappointed because I would have liked to seen clear performances in the first 2 games, but they won. They're 2-0, and they're moving on.
Anthony, have you been to Circle K lately?
I have. I sent you that photo.
You did. I was very happy when you saw that. And that was the 6th Street. That was the 6th Street Circle K, if I'm not mistaken.
That's like the OG Circle K, right?
I might even apply for a job at that Circle K for 4 hours a month. If I can get that, I would be very happy about this. But Be like Anthony Gimino and join the Circle or Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. Anthony, you need to go on Keno and 36th, though. If you're looking for free or cheaper free gas, if you're looking for cheaper gas, yes, you should go there. It's much cheaper, and you would very much like it. You will thank me later, Anthony Gimino.
Well, I will tell you, once you join the Inner Circle,
there's no turning back.
And you see that 25 cents per gallon come off your fill up.
It's big.
That is a wonderful, great feeling.
Or the twice so far this year where we've had, I think the first one was 30 cents off, and then the second one was 40.
Yeah.
What am I missing?
You got to be on your Inner Circle app and get the alerts. Otherwise, you just miss out. Anthony, come on.
This guy, Anthony, just sometimes he's always a little too stubborn.
I'm a little new to the Circle K Inner Circle thing, but man, I was really happy with the 25 cent off per gallon.
Yeah, no, but again, Anthony, you should take it. You shouldn't take anything from that. You should say, you know what? I'm not good with that. I want 40 cents off. That's what Anthony should be going to do. Exactly. And besides that, can you imagine Anthony Gimino in a Sanderson Ford? Here's the deal. Look at Anthony Gimino and you say, that's a Prius driver right there. And you might be right. You might be a Scion, something like that. We are going to upgrade Anthony Gimino. Anthony Gimino and a Sanderson Ford would look amazing. Anthony, you would agree with this. This is correct.
100%.
Okay. Here's the deal. Here's the deal with Anthony Gimino and Sanderson Ford. Shop the Sanderson Ford payoff sale with no hassle, no pressure, and no nonsense. Here's the deal with Sanderson Ford, though. This is the drive of the game. Football is back, and so are we at Arizona's largest Ford dealership. Sanderson Ford shop at America's most awarded Ford dealership with no hassle, no pressure, and no nonsense. Anthony, you will get a Sanderson Ford on your next purchase. This is true.
I have driven Fords in the past.
What do you drive right now?
Oh, Anthony.
I can't.
I told you.
He said it, and you shook your head. I was just like, well, what does he drive?
Anthony, you are going to get a Sanderson Ford, and you will thank me later for this, my friend. You will thank me later. Deal?
All right, Mike Luke.
Okay. Now, besides that, getting back to this game, though, I almost said Circle K. Kansas State, a.k.a. Circle K. Kansas State. What are we looking for? Again, this is going to be the game that I think the rubber is going to meet the anvil, or the rubber is whatever the term is. Something is going to meet something. Well, Saul Bookman, what are you looking for?
Well, two things. One, the K-State defense isn't nearly as dominant as we were led to believe at the beginning of the season, because I know the talk coming into this specific game was their defense versus our offense. Let's go. Let's see who's the better of the two, right? Well, both of them struggled today, big time. And so what I'm looking for is which one of those two units is going to clean it up the fastest and get back on track as quick as possible. I think it's a little easier to control it on the offensive side at this point than it would be on the defensive side. Plus, T-Mac has a severe mismatch, and I forget his name. I think it's Jennings, their best cornerback, number 10. He's a short little guy. He's like 5'8", 5'9", maybe. Good luck if you don't have safety help and you try to throw one-on-ones to T-Mac, because he will come down with it every single time. So I think that's what I'm looking for. Then on the other side of the ball, I'm really looking forward to seeing how this defense is going to be able to force. You got to force Avery Johnson to throw the ball. If you force him to throw the ball, he's still not that polished of a passer yet. He's good. He's decent. He can be effective, but he's not as polished as a superstar would be at this level. And so if everybody gets on track and everybody plays their A game, I do truly believe that Arizona is the better team.
Anthony?
I absolutely hate that Saul went there with Avery Johnson, because I thought he had finished his answer without mentioning Avery Johnson. And then I could jump in and say, I saw him miss a lot of passes today.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, he hit a couple. We know he's a great runner. So that goes back to Arizona's efforts in containment problems we saw in the first week. But Avery Johnson is not quite there yet. I mean, he's really good, super talented, multidimensional. But when he had some wide open dudes today, he missed.
Yeah.
if he hits those, that's going to be a big problem. But yeah, absolutely 100% keep him contained, keep him in the pocket, make him throw downfield because he hit a really low percentage today.
Yeah, and that's the thing is he's never completed over 50, or he's never completed really a 50%.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that's something too. I mean, that's gonna be a big game. You got two big games coming up here. You got Kansas State and you got Utah. You're gonna find out everything about Arizona here.
Yeah, Kansas State is one of the many Big 12 teams that has a potentially really dominant running game, great running backs, veteran offensive linemen. So now we go back to, is the stuff we saw from Arizona's defensive line today real, or was it just because they were playing NAU?
And that's what we don't know. What do you say?
Question.
What do you say, Saul?
Yeah, that's why we don't know.
I don't know, man, but Giddens and Dylan Edwards are two legit backs.
Yeah.
And if you don't come, ready to just hit some people, it could be tough. It could be really, really tough. So, but I don't know what to think because, again, I think we've played pretty vanilla on the defensive line. Today, I feel like towards the end, we started to throw a few more blitzes, especially with just Jacob Manu, basically, is the only one that they kind of keep sending. I don't think you're going to see that next week. I don't think you're going to see that for the rest of the season. I think you're going to see some exotic looks and blitzes and schemes that we just haven't seen so far. So I'm going to wait till I see that game and figure out what U of A is really all about.
That's what it comes down to, Anthony. That's when the live bullets really start flying, Mr. Gimino.
Yeah. And even then, I mean, it's a good indication, but even then it's a freebie.
Right. It is a freebie.
Because it's not, whatever happens, you learn from going into conference play. You're trying to get to the conference title game and win it and get into the playoffs.
Right.
And whatever happens Friday night doesn't change that. It's going to give us reasons to celebrate or be really depressed and unhappy, but it doesn't change the fact there's just everything's pointing towards get to the conference title game, have a chance to get into the playoff.
Anthony, you know what look really good on you right now?
Shady Rays?
Branded bills. Listen.
Yeah, you're right.
You might say to yourself, this guy, Anthony Gimino, very cool person. Yes, but he would be even cooler with branded bills. Here's the deal. Head to brandedbills.com and use code PHNX for 20% off your first purchase. Saul Bookman has a branded bills right now. Looks very sharp.
Where's yours?
Oh, no, I had it at the game.
You have two of them.
I have two of them. I'll actually, hold on a second. Watch this one. Oh, no, that's something else. That's another hat that I got, another sponsor. Either way, branded bills, though. Yes, exactly. Anthony Gimino would look very sharp in a branded bills. We would agree with this.
Yeah.
All right.
He definitely looks like he's rocking the Dwayne Aquina hat right now.
That is the Dwayne Aquina hat. And he has
that's my life goal. I just want to be Dwayne Aquina.
He has the Dwayne Aquina hat from when Dwayne Aquina was an offensive coordinator back in 1993, and Arizona's entire mission was to not score the football. Anthony, this is true.
Yeah. Next show, can I wear my 1994 Fiesta Bowl hat?
Well, you should. I have a 1994 Fiesta Bowl shirt, so maybe we'll see that. Either way, check it out. Branded bills. Be like Anthony Gimino, or don't be like Anthony Gimino. Either way, whichever one is better. All right, guys, let's sum this one up. Saul Bookman, basically everything starts flying next week.
Yeah, it's going to be insane. Obviously, Mike and I will be in Manhattan, Kansas, starting Thursday afternoon around 4 or 5 o'clock-ish. And so, I don't know, maybe we'll do an Instagram live and walk around Aggieville, and that's what they call this small little strip of bars and restaurants. It's basically the only thing and the only place to go to in Manhattan, Kansas. So we're going to do a bunch of stuff out there. I'm really looking forward to this game. I think this is the game we've all had circled since the schedules were announced. This was the one game of the season that we were like, okay, this can be the tone setter. Can this team be as good as it was when they ended the year last year? I really hope so, because if they win this game, everybody's optimism is sky high. Everybody's feeling good. The vibes are high. They get a bye week, and then they get Utah. Utah's got to play straight consecutively up until our game. So it's a perfect opportunity to take advantage. That's what I'm looking for.
Anthony?
Yeah, I think I just get ready to have some fun. I mean, I love the Big 12. I love being able to tune in all day and pay attention to the Big 12 teams. And because I think there's just filled, even though Arizona misses a lot of what I think are the better teams this year, which is great for Arizona, I suppose. This league is deep enough where week in, week out, look at freaking Houston. They took Oklahoma to the final minutes today. And I'm thinking, oh, that's like a 30-point blowout for Arizona when they play in November. Oh, well, maybe not. We know what the other team is doing. I don't know if they're hanging on right now or not, but whatever.
I think
it's a great league. I think there's going to be a lot of drama every Saturday or Friday nights, depending on what they are. So, yeah, just get ready to have some fun, enjoy it, and whatever happens, happens.
Mike,
and you could be like Anthony and get some neutral in the meantime. You might look at Anthony Gimino and say, that guy's all about spirits. You are right. Keep it tasty. Enjoy responsibly at 2024 Anheuser-Busch Neutral at flavored vodka and carbonation, St. Louis, Missouri. Very, very good. Check it out. Neutral tastes good, like real good. So good that you'll never want to drink another artificial flavor seltzer again. Neutral's light and refreshing taste will show you what a vodka seltzer can be. Anthony, I see you. I see your palate's just dripping with salivation thinking about Neutral right now.
Yeah, there might be some drinking after the show.
All right, I thought that was good. By the way,
I need some edibles right now is what I need. Also, see my new sign?
I like it.
It's pretty dope, right?
I was going to say, it's very provocative, very cool.
You can get that at Saturday Neon, folks. You saw Mike's big A that he used to have in the background. He still has it. It's in the other room.
Mm-hmm.
This is the other sign that you can get from Saturday Neon. 15% off if you use promo code PHNX. Get yourself one today.
Very good stuff. Okie dokie. We very much appreciate all of you. Now we will be back with you on Monday, but for the boss, Saul Bookman, for the esteemed Anthony Gimino, I am merely Mike Luke. Thank you a ton. We'll be back with you. You have been listening to the AZ Wildcats podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.